Hi.
Hi.
Um, God, that last introduction was so good. Now I'm
I know.
completely like,
I know.
okay.
It's okay.
So we're here to ask each other questions. These are going to be the same questions that we're going to pose to other people. So we figured it's best to start with us first. So
Yes.
why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself and kind of give us background on kids and ages and all that
Sure, Talia. So I have three
stuff.
kids. They're all they're older. They've been out of the house for a while. My oldest is in her young 30s. She's 32. My son is 29. And then I have a younger daughter who is 27. It's hard to keep track. I don't want to keep track because I know they're getting
Right.
older. It
I
makes
know
me
it
feel older.
ages us. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, so my oldest daughter lives in New York. My son lives in Riverside. He's a researcher at UC Riverside.
Okay.
And then my youngest daughter lives in Westwood. She is becoming a chef,
Nice.
or she
Very
is a
nice.
chef. She's trying to launch her career.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, so they've been out of the house for a while, and
Right. Yeah.
yeah.
I mean, I'm just sitting here going, "Oh my gosh, how are your kids like they're all in like the right direction and all living the
Yeah,
lives that yeah."
yeah,
I mean,
yeah. I was really young when I got married. I was only
mhm.
23, so I didn't know what the heck I was doing.
Right.
And my oldest daughter was born before our first wedding anniversary,
Okay. Yeah.
and I was a baby, right? I didn't
Yeah.
know a lot. I grew up in a very sheltered
Mhm.
household. We're Pakistani Americans,
Mhm.
and so my parents were very, very strict about going out and all kinds of stuff. Very, very sheltered life.
Right.
So and I had an arranged marriage.
Mhm.
Yeah, I didn't know anything. I was just
Yeah.
like thrown into the deep end, trying to
Yeah.
figure my way out, right?
Right.
And
Growing up in like an American culture for the most part because
right,
you were a teenager and then in high
yeah,
school and then yeah, and then having a traditional
right. I was
marriage
embarrassed to
and
tell my friends, right?
mhm.
Hey, all of a sudden I'm married, you know.
Mhm.
Uh,
Mhm.
we took a trip to Pakistan and came back. I came back married.
Uh-huh. Now, when you were
Wasn't really
growing up,
expecting that, but
y-
that's what happened.
yeah, gosh, surprise.
Yeah.
So when you were growing up, did you have a lot of like quote unquote American friends or
Yeah,
were
I think
you
most of my
around your
friends,
culture?
I grew up in Texas.
Okay.
There weren't that many people that looked like me,
Mm-hmm.
growing up. So yeah, most of my friends
Mm-hmm.
wore white. Um,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, as far as I can remember. And then, in my last year of high school, I think there were some other Pakistanis that were
Mm-hmm.
there, but I just could not connect to them.
Yeah.
It was really hard for me.
Yeah.
And then I had friends through our community, our faith community.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, and then family friends, right? That the
Right.
kids that we grew up with. But yeah, it was a very sheltered life. So I didn't really know what I was doing when I became a mom.
Right.
Um, and then that's evolved for me. And I think as a mom, as my kids were growing up, I was so focused on academics and
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
the to-do list, the right activities to get into the right college. And I
Mm-hmm.
think I was very, very focused into that.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so yeah, I wish I would have spent more time getting to know my kids as people and the humans that they are,
Yeah.
instead of just being so hyper focused on the to do list and the task list.
Right, right. And where do we even get that to-do list? There is no to-do list. I mean, is it comparing ourselves to other moms and that's
Right,
what we would have wanted when we were growing up? It's like I think we just take from a different list and then in the
right.
end it's almost like an innate, just
And they,
whatever comes up, it comes
yeah,
up.
you want your kids to have better lives than you.
Hmm.
Um, but I never thought about, okay, this is the kind of mom I want to be, right? And I wish
Right,
I had, right? But I
right.
was never given that opportunity. I grew up in a joint household, lived with
Hmm.
my husband's parents and
Hmm.
his brothers for the
Hmm.
first 5 years of our marriage, and that was tough.
Hmm.
And I think I just trying to adjust to that was a huge
Right,
uh, change, right? It was a big life change, and
right.
just getting adjusted to that was enough. And then to have
Yeah.
kids on top of that, I think I was not even 30, 32
Hmm.
by the time I had all three of my kids, right? I'm not doing math right now, but
Don't even
I
all
was
those
really, I
numbers like
was
went
a
over my
baby,
head.
Talia. I didn't know anything, right?
Hmm.
So yeah, I wish I would have spent more time getting to know my
Yeah.
kids, who they
Well,
were.
I mean, you brought up an interesting thing because I feel like we don't come into it knowing what to do. They give us their first baby and we're like, okay, yeah, now what?
Yeah,
But
there should be a
then,
class.
right, there should be a class.
Yeah.
And it almost seems like the mother instinct in a way of just like, we just do it, we just
Yeah.
become a mom in a sense, not even knowing like, okay, but where are the instructions?
Where are the
Right?
instructions?
It's not.
But come to think of it, in our community, we did have this thing called early childhood development,
Mhm,
and they'd
mhm,
have somebody come out to your house and sit with
mhm,
you
mhm.
and tell you, but it was not relevant to what I was going through.
Right?
I mean, I remember I did like one or two visits with this lady, and God bless her, she was doing the best she could and
Mhm,
was using the training that she had. And her first thing to me was, well, because my daughter's crib was in our bedroom,
mhm, mhm,
and she was like, well, you should move this out of here. Well, where? I
mhm.
live in a joint household
Right,
with all these other people.
right.
Where do you want me to put this crib, right? I mean, I
Mhm.
understand that's advice you're giving, but this is not helpful to me.
Right, right,
I can't. I mean,
right.
there's so much space in this house.
Yeah,
there's,
exactly,
yeah,
exactly. Yeah.
yeah. So I think that kind of turned me off in the very beginning. So
Mhm.
maybe I could have gotten more out of it and been more patient with it. But again, I was just trying to adjust to this household of people that I've never
Yeah,
lived with and moved to California. I
right,
grew up in Texas, like I said,
right.
and that was a big adjustment.
Yeah,
California is very different
yeah,
from
yeah,
Texas.
From Texas,
And
yes,
yeah, and we hear
but
a lot about that
right,
lately.
right, right, right.
But anyways, yeah.
Yeah. So that's good. I think yes. So that you said a lot about like our first question, which would be like, how have you evolved as a mom? And yes, you come from like a young mom, not knowing, to
Yeah,
now
yeah.
three very successful children,
Yes.
and
Yeah, knock on wood for that.
yeah, under circumstances
Well,
where you're
there
like, I have no idea, no one else has any
right,
idea, so I'm just going to
right,
make the best of it, and
right, yeah.
yeah.
I wish I had let up and not been so focused on academic. So
But how are we supposed to
how are
know
we supposed to
what,
know?
we don't know anything, and we're dealing with all these different personalities, and just like, okay,
Right.
yeah, how do we
Yeah.
communicate this?
Yeah, because I was talking to a friend of mine who was telling me about an interaction she saw between her grandson and her
Mhm,
daughter.
mm,
And the grandson was crying. I think it was 2 or 3 at the
mhm,
time, and
mhm,
just and the mom got down to his
mhm.
face level and was like, "What's coming up for you right now? I know you're upset. It's
I
okay to cry.
right,
Tell me what you're feeling. Let's
right.
talk through this. Use your words." And I was like, I would have been like, "Get in the car or what?
Yes,
Get on with it. We have to do this,
yes,
this, this, this.
right.
I don't
Well,
have time for this."
what
Right?
did
I mean,
grandmother think? What did your friend think about her daughter
I
dealing
think
with
she
the
was impressed, and I think the reason
okay.
she shared that was,
Mhm.
I mean, because it's a boy, right? And for our boys in our culture, we're always like, "Don't cry. You're not supposed to cry. You're
Right.
not, be the man of the house." I mean, all that
Right.
dumb talk
But
that we've
even if
done
it's
too.
not, yeah, but even if it's not like outwardly, because I have two boys, it is very like, unless you're coming to me with like guts coming out and your arm is on
Right.
your back,
Get a band-aid.
I'm not, yeah, I'm not going to give you that, and it's a weird
Yeah.
thing. And I don't know, I don't have any girls, if that might be
Yeah.
different, but for definitely boys, especially boys that are playing sports and stuff, when they get injured and they get
Yeah.
injured all the time, and parents are looking at me like, don't you care? I'm like, yeah, I care. But again, it's a higher standard of pain that I require in order to
Right.
get my attention,
Yeah. I
good
mean,
or
I
bad.
said that, but I think, my son is very, very sensitive.
Hmm.
He's gonna hate it if he hears this, but
But
um,
mine are
yeah,
too.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And I think the fact that he grew up with 2 sisters too, right? So
Hmm.
he had a lot of women around him,
Hmm.
girls around
Hmm.
him.
Hmm.
So that probably helped too. But yeah, I mean, it's just a different way of nurturing your children. And I wish I would have spent more time doing that and knowing who my children were.
Hmm.
I mean, you did ask them about, so what do you want to do? But what the thought process, what sport do you want to play, or what activity do you
Right.
want to do to help you get into college? It wasn't
Right.
like, what are you,
Yeah.
who are you as a person?
Yeah.
What do you like? I
Right.
mean, I wish I would have spent a lot more time doing that.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because now I'm like, how was I with my kids? I mean, how do
Yeah.
I be with them now? How
Yeah.
do I switch from smothering
Mhm.
or
Mhm. Mhm.
and to just being
Not
supportive, right?
smothering. I would say treating them the way we've treated them when they
Right.
were a baby on through,
Yeah.
this point in life. It's maybe us that needs to adjust to
Right.
them changing, right? Yeah.
Exactly. Them changing. And I mean, we've all made our share of mistakes, and I'm the first one to admit I've made a million of them, right?
Mhm.
And it's, a blessing that they've all turned out successful,
Right?
good humans, right? I
Right.
must have done something
No
right?
kidding. I mean, like, what is that? If we could just bottle that
Right.
nugget of like, okay, I don't know how I
Right.
did, but you're doing things that are pretty cool.
Right.
And where'd you get that? Can you tell us? So,
Exactly. And they get to a certain age and you're like, okay, I should get the mom of the world award or something,
yes.
right? That I was
Yeah.
the best mom ever. I made all these sacrifices for my kids. And
Hmm. Hmm.
and I mean, you call them sacrifices, but I did them happily because they're my kids. You want to give
Yeah.
them whatever they need and whatever
Hmm.
they want. So,
Hmm.
but my kids have a different perspective, right? When you think they're like, I mean, they don't see it. They remember a lot of the maybe my mistakes,
Right.
and and I never really saw it that way. But it's good to have that realistic
Yeah.
perspective that you get from them, right?
Yeah.
They don't hold back.
Yeah. They don't. They don't. I mean,
Yeah,
you've given them the confidence to,
exactly. So
right?
then you can't be
You can't. But you want to just like, can we take that part of your smart ass mouth out, because and
exactly.
I feel the same way of like you
Yeah,
build this confidence, but then okay, where's the line where you bring back some of the tradition that we grew up with of
yeah,
like you don't have an opinion. You just do what I tell you to do
yeah.
and be quiet. But also you want them to foster having their own opinion in the outside world,
Right.
kind
Yeah,
of.
yeah. And
So
that's the other thing, because and that's what you want. You want independent kids. And I was so focused on academics. My younger child, my older twin, was born in January, so she missed that cutoff where you have to be 5 before
mm,
September or whatever
mhm,
to be
mhm,
in preschool. But I got her in anyways.
mhm.
And but then she went away to college a year earlier, and I was like, what did I
Yeah.
do here? So she
Yeah,
was
yeah.
17
Yeah.
when she graduated and went away to college, and it's been 17 years since then. She's 32 now, so yeah, maybe
Mhm,
15 years.
mhm.
But now, how do I interact with this person?
That's
And
so
she's been away
yeah.
so long,
Well, I
and
mean, you brought up another point because we do hear of there's so many kids who are like super smart and they could be, or they're on that
yeah,
bubble. You can either keep them or push them. What do you do? Like, how you in
keep
your
them.
head, you're like, oh my God, my kid is so great,
Right,
and I
right.
want them to like
Yeah.
be their best. So
Here's
we're
my
gonna,
gift to the world,
right, right, exactly. But then when they're grown and you're like, wait, but that, you
Yeah.
know, that wasn't necessary. They were going to get to that,
They're gonna get there
sooner or
anyways,
later.
right?
So it was, the
Yeah.
next year or whatever. I mean, it's like, why is it so necessary to like
Yeah.
push our kids to growing up too
Why?
quickly?
Yeah, we shouldn't do that. And
Right.
then I think we don't realize that our time with them is very limited. The
Hmm.
second they go away to university,
Hmm.
they come back different people, right?
Hmm.
And they're not going to spend as much time with you. And that time you had, it's
Yeah.
gone,
Oh my
right? That
gosh.
time where
Yes.
she needed to, I know,
I
yeah,
was so
like,
touched that.
I know. Yeah, because I think sometimes the other relation when you're like your Jack just went
Yes.
away to college,
Yes,
right?
he's a
So
freshman in college, so
yeah,
yeah, we're learning a lot.
yeah,
But yeah, yeah,
yeah. But I guess every parent has to learn for themselves, because my sister was here recently and she was all this college, and then we went on a tour of UCLA
yeah,
and all that.
yeah.
And so I
Oh, she has
wanted
a
to tell
daughter
her,
going to.
well, she'll be a junior next year, so
Okay.
she's still got
Oh,
time.
okay.
But she
Okay.
was in that mode,
Okay.
like where I was, right, about
Mm-hmm.
going to college tours so early, right?
Right.
And I wanted so much to tell her that don't, don't. It's okay. They've got time, and you don't have to. But I wouldn't have hurt myself if I mean, I wouldn't have taken that advice if somebody came and told me that. I think you have to learn for yourself.
You
Maybe
almost,
I don't
yeah, because I
to have
feel
that
like,
realization.
yeah, it does. And I don't know. I miss my son. He's a freshman. But when he's away, he's really away. Like
Yeah, they
he
don't pick
is
up the
not.
phone to.
No,
Yeah,
no, and we don't either. It's like there's almost a sense of we did our job, kind of, and he's
yeah,
in college and he's doing his thing, and not like he's not a part of our family anymore, but it's odd.
Well, he'll always be a part of your
Right.
family,
It's
Talia,
but
but I know what you
it's
mean.
just
The
a
day to
weird
day, yeah,
transition
yeah.
where I don't know
He doesn't know what you had for dinner last night, or you know what I'm
exactly,
saying, or
exactly.
whatever.
Right. And I feel like all of our kids are different. But I know that my son, he was always like, okay, the next chapter. Okay, I'm done with elementary. Let's go to let's go to
Yeah,
middle, high school. Okay, now I'm in college. He's always been ready for that change, and maybe that's made it easier and more of like, okay, we'll see you when we see you. Not that heartless, but just like, okay, go do your thing, and
yeah.
we'll see you next weekend or Mother's
Not so touchy
Day.
feely, or yeah,
Yeah, it's not touchy feely, and but in a weird way,
yeah,
that's brought him closer to us. He's like, when I call, he's like, yeah, mom. You know what? I'm like, do you know when he
oh,
was,
that's so
younger, if
nice.
I
That warms
called,
my heart.
no, it was just like, okay, he would never answer. I'm like, do you know what the phone is for? Not
Yeah,
until his freshman year does he realize what the phone is for, and that's to
yeah,
talk to mom.
yeah.
By the way, I'm now mother. I'm hello, mother, in a
Seriously.
very sarcastic tone, but
Oh,
but it
ironically.
right, it evolved. Oh, I could, yes,
How
the
funny.
evolution of. Um, okay, so I think we like captured everything that
There's
you
a
know.
lot more I could
Yeah,
share,
yeah,
but
yeah, yeah. No, no,
yeah,
no,
I mean,
right,
that's why we're doing this, right? To kind
right.
of, we have things to share. We have
We
the,
have things to share, and I feel like the more moms we talk to and ask similar questions, um, we'll learn more about ourselves through what they've experienced of thinking like, oh, okay, we're not
yeah,
alone in that feeling. Oh, it's okay to feel that because there are other people going through it. I think maybe that's one of the big nuggets I want to get out of this of like, okay, we're
yeah,
not alone. Our kids are getting older. Um, yeah, we're all kind of facing it together and we're still learning. I mean, we still have a whole other more chapters to go with this whole momming
absolutely.
thing.
Yes.
And also to learn about ourselves too. So,
Yeah,
yeah.
absolutely.
Okay. I think we're good.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you, Talia.
Thank you.
Okay.